वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नाम्ने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासुदेव गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, कपिला देव की जय, देवाहुति की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। Okay. Any of you like to start reading chapter 26, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature?
I'll read.
Please, go ahead.
Okay. Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. Kapila describes how the elements manifest during the primary creation, giving rise to the Virat Rupa, the Lord's gigantic universal form. Kapila said, "My dear mother, I shall now explain in detail Krishna's diverse energies by which he creates, maintains, and annihilates the cosmos. This analysis, known as Sankhya, helps one understand the Supreme Lord and his energies, which in turn brings detachment from sense enjoyment and release from the three modes of nature." Devahuti looked quizzically at her son. How could such an analysis free one from the enjoying spirit? Knowledge culminates in knowing the true self as a spiritual part of the Supreme Person, said Kapila. One sees himself as different from the material body and loses interest in bodily enjoyment. Listen as I describe this in detail. Devahuti sat cross-legged, her hands in her lap and her eyes fixed on her divine son's face as he delivered his teachings. Krishna is the Supreme Soul, without beginning and transcendental to material existence. By his bodily luster, known as the Brahmajyoti, he pervades and supports everything. As his pastime, the all-powerful Lord employs his subtle material energy, known as Prakriti, which is invested with the modes of nature. By the interactions of the modes, Prakriti produces material bodies. The condition are diluted by Prakriti's knowledge, covering potency known as avidya, and they forget their spiritual nature. Thus, they think they are acting voluntarily when in fact they are controlled by material nature. Thinking himself the doer and attached to worldly pleasure, the transcendental soul is forced to accept material conditions such as birth and death. Prakriti places the living being in different material bodies and situations controlled by the gods. This is understood by learned men. Although transcendental, the living being causes his own happiness and distress by his actions. Devahuti looked intently at her son. Exactly how has she caused her own suffering? Kapila's words reverberated in her mind, thinking himself the doer and attached to material enjoyment. Of course, she was trying to be a Purusha and enjoy Krishna's energy, which was meant for his pleasure. When this attempt failed, as it always must, she became morose. She became eager to learn more. Lord, kindly explain the characteristics of Krishna and his energies, which are the causes of repeated material creations and destructions. Kapila said, material nature begins as pradhana, the non-manifest stage where the three modes are inactive and indistinguishable. When the activated modes manifest the worlds, nature is called Prakriti. And the invisible stage of Pradhana, the material energy, contains the potential forms of the 24 material elements. These are the 5 gross elements, the 5 subtle elements, the 5 knowledge gathering senses, the 5 working organs, and the 4 internal senses. The gross elements are earth, water, fire, air, and ether. The subtle elements are smell, taste, color, touch, and sound. The knowledge acquiring senses are hearing, tasting, touch, sight, and smell. The working organs are the voice, hands, feet, reproductive organs, and anus. The 4 internal senses are mind, intelligence, false ego, and consciousness. All these combined are known as Saguna Brahma, spiritual energy modified by the material modes, which include time, the 25th element. Devahuti concentrated her mind and wherein to understand Kapila's teachings. She had previously heard the term Nirguna Brahm, which referred to pure, unadulterated spiritual energy. She had always wondered how matter was generated from pure spirit. Now she understood that although Pradhana is also spiritual energy, it is Saguna. Pradhana is distinguished from Brahm because of the presence of the dormant modes of nature. The modes give Pradhana the potential for manifesting the material creation, which Nirguna Brahm lacks. Slowly it was becoming clearer. Kapila continued, "My dear mother, time is my potency. It invokes fear in deluded persons who identify with the material body. As time, I agitate the pradhana and instigate the creation." Devahuti realized Kapila was rebuting the idea that material nature alone creates. The smile of childbirth came to her mind. A woman is capable of producing a child until her husband impregnates her. Similarly, Pradhana is incapable of creating until the Lord enters her as time. Kapila continued, "As time I exist outside of the living beings, and as the super soul I am within." According to Sankhya, the super soul is the 26th element of creation. I also place the living beings who are part of my eternal spiritual energy into the pradhana. Due to the influence of their destinies, pradhana transforms into the Mahatattva, which shines with a golden resplendence, as is thus also referred to as Hiranmaya or golden brilliance. The Mahatattva's effulgence dissipates the darkness which descends after each dissolution of the cosmic manifestation. The pure mode of goodness is first activated in the Mahatattva. This mode manifests in all beings as pure consciousness. It is the clear, sober state in which Lord Vasudeva is understood. In this pure state, one can meditate on Vasudeva. Hence, the pure mode of goodness is also called Vasudeva. Pure consciousness is free from passion and ignorance. As we can clearly see an object reflected in calm and clear water. Similarly, in pure consciousness, one can clearly see one's own existence and that of the Supreme Lord. Such pure consciousness is characterized by serenity, clarity, and freedom from distraction. Induced by time, the mode of ignorance next appears in the Mahat Tattva. Ignorance evolves into false ego, ahankara, which is further modified by each of the 3 modes of nature to produce the mind, the senses of perception, the organs of action, and the gross elements. As the cause of the mind, senses, and gross elements, the threefold ahankara is identical within them. It is called Sankarshana, who is the 1,000-headed Lord Ananta, because it expands from him. Here now about the different characteristics of false ego influenced by the 3 modes. When it interacts with goodness, it transforms into the gods who control material affairs. With passion, it transforms into the senses, and with ignorance, it becomes the gross and subtle elements. Furthermore, Ankara combined with each of the three modes generates serenity, activity, and bewilderment. In contact with goodness, Ankara also produces the mind whose function is to accept and reject or desire and hate. The supreme ruler of the mind and senses is Lord Aniruddha, who has a bluish black form resembling an autumn lotus. He is found slowly by yogis who fix their mind upon him, thereby becoming free from mental agitation. Virtuous lady, when false ego interacts with passion, it generates intelligence, whose function is to ascertain the nature of objects and assist the senses.
Right, thank you. Any comments or questions so far? I mean,
So,
they seem.
so there are so many actions taking place. For each, there is another god, Sankarshan, Anirudh, they are different.
Yes, exactly. In Vishnu Sahasranam, it comes Sandhiman Stiraha. Krishna designates different demigods for different functions and different organs, etc. But the spaces in between the organs, Sandhiman Stiraha, which means Krishna is a ruler of even the like every space in between the organs, every space in between the functions. It's Krishna, like that. It's like a kind of strength from it coming from Krishna, like that. Like for example, Mahadev, Lord Shiva, he is the Lord of the mind. So he's called the Manobhimani Devata. So he helps us. He is the one ruling the mind, like that. And everything that we're reading here is also it's very relevant. We're supposed to know these things.
Mhm.
Any other comments? Any other questions?
Actually, I was thinking to make a flow chart of all the
Mhm.
senses and what is making and how it is written in first line. When it interact with goodness, it transform into the gods who control material affairs. With passion, it transform into the senses. Like all those things to keep it in mind that how it works.
Right. That would be nice. If you do it, please do share with us.
Yeah, really, 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 please.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll just be okay. We read something, but studying would
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it should. I'll try. I'll find it. I don't have this book, but I'll try because I did in one other course, where I read these things, but in not this sense. This like how it's said that how the modes are, uh, making these kinds of things. So let me see.
Yeah, that would be very nice.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Would you like to start reading Radha Priya or Taruni Radha? Oh, both Radhas are here.
Okay,
Radha.
I'll read. Devuti was confused about the difference between consciousness, mind, and intelligence. As she pondered this, an example came to her. When one hears a sound, first consciousness is aware of it, then intelligence recognizes it as sound, and finally the mind either likes or dislikes it. Kapila continued, other important functions of intelligence are doubt, understanding, misunderstanding, memory, and sleep. Let, let me explain. An intelligent person does not blindly accept anything but seeks authoritative evidence. This is how he detects false understanding and corrects them. Sleep is associated with intelligence because it keeps it it in good working order. Beside intelligence, false ego is contact with passion, also produce the knowledge acquired and working senses, as well as life, energy, or prana. The working senses depend on prana to function, and the knowledge acquiring senses depend on intelligence. Listen, mother, as I describe the manifestation from ahankara is tamas or ignorance. When Krishna, as time agitates false ego in contact with ignorance, the subtle element sound is manifested, which generate the sky and the sense of hearing. The wise know the characteristic of sound to be conveying meaning and indicating the presence of an unseen speaker. It is the subtle form of either. The characteristics of ether is to accommodate the external and internal existence of all living entities, namely the field of activities of the vital air, the senses, and the mind. Time then acts on ether to generate the touch sensation, which is the subtle element or tanmatra. From touch comes air and the tactiles, organ, skin. Touch is characterized by softness, hardness, cold, and heat. The action of air is seen variously, such as when we see tree branches move or fallen leaves collecting together. Bodily movement and function acquire air, as does the sense of smell. Moved by the time, the interaction of touch and air produce form. According to his destiny, the living being receives various forms. Fire involves form which is its tanmatra or sense objects. The eyes perceives form characterized by color, size, shape, and uniqueness. Fire is appreciated by its effulgence, its power to cook, digest food, provide warmth, evaporate liquid, and give rise to hunger and thirst. By the interaction of fire and form, impelled by time, taste is produced. Water produces taste. Its tanmatra along with the tongue, which perceive taste by the presence.
Somebody else likes to continue. Tarini, Radha, are you able to read or should I read?
Yeah, I can read, Mataji. We're like, it's the influence by time from there, right?
Yeah, I mean, we stopped here. Which perceives taste by the presence of water or saliva.
Okay. Combining, one second. Combining with different substances, taste becomes many as astringent, sweet, bitter, pungent, sour, and salty. Water is characterized by its ability to moisten or soften to form mixtures such as dough and mud, to slake thirst, maintain life, drive away heat, and constantly supply itself to reservoirs such as wells. Influenced by time, water interacts with taste to produce the subtle element, odor. Then comes earth and the sense of smell by which the earth's fragrances are perceived. Although one by contacting different substances, odor becomes many, as mixed, foul, fragrant, mild, strong, etc. The characteristics of earth are its ability to model deities, construct residences, make pots, and produce the bodies of all beings. Gentle lady, let us summarize the elements and their inherent qualities. Ether's tanmatra is sound. the sense object for hearing. That of air is touch, the sense object for the skin. The subtle element of fire is form, the sense object for sight. That of water is taste, the sense object of the tongue. Finally, the tanmatra of earth is odor, the object for the sense of smell. You should also know that as one element evolves from the other, the characteristics of the cause exist in the effect. In other words, in air exists sound as well as touch. In fire exists sound, touch, form. In water, there is sound, touch, form, and taste. And in earth, there are all the characteristics as well as odor. Devahuti quietly reviewed the key points she had learned. Mahavishnu impregnates the pradhana with time and the living entities along with their destinies. Time instigates the modes of nature to act. Goodness generates consciousness, and ignorance produces false ego. When false ego interacts with each of the three modes, it further generates the gods, the mind, the senses, and the gross and subtle elements. She wondered how these material elements came together to create the universe. Kapila said, after their manifestation, the primary elements of creation were unable to combine. Therefore, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu entered each of them, enabling them to interact. They then coalesced to form an unconscious egg, within which appeared the Virat Purusha, the Supreme Lord's manifestation as the celebrated cosmic being. Devahuti had heard her husband speak of the Virat Purusha. It had always confused her. Krishna is spiritual, whereas the universe is material. In what sense is he the universe? Seeing her confusion, Kapila explained that since Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is the supersoul of the universe, it is considered his body. Kapila went on, listen to how the Virat Purusha developed within the cosmic egg. The universal shell contains the material energy which manifests the universe. It is covered by 7 layers: earth, water, fire, air, ether, false ego, and Mahatattva. Each layer is 10 times thicker than the previous one. Beyond them, all is a pradhanam. Within this egg, the universal form, which includes the 14 planetary systems, takes place. Devahuti asked if there is only one universe, and Kapila explained that there are many egg-like universes besides this one. This universe is said to be the smallest. Kapila continued his description of the creation. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, situated in that golden egg, began to create bodily apertures. First, he manifested a mouth from which appeared the power of speech, along with its presiding deity, Agni, fire god, god of fire. Then 2 nostrils appeared, from which came the ability to smell. The prana, the white lay, along with the presiding deity of the nostril, Vayu, the wind god. Then came 2 eyeballs with the power of sight, along with the sun god. After this, there appeared 2 ears, the power of hearing, with the Dig Devatas, gods of directions. As Devahuti listened in wide-eyed wonder, Kapila continued to describe how the universal form made its appearance, manifesting the template for material bodies. The Virat Purusha next manifested his skin, then his hair, moustache, and beard, along with the sense of touch and its presiding deities, the gods controlling herbs and drugs, the genitals and the gonads.
Okay, we can stop here today, so we can finish the paragraph, please. Should I finish, Taruni?
Oh my God, I was talking, I was on mute, sorry. Then appeared along with Varna, god of the waters. Then came the anus and the organ of excretion with its presiding deity, death, feared by all men. 2 hands then appeared along with the power of grasping and its deity, Indra. 2 feet and the power of movement followed. With Lord Hari, its deity, veins appeared along with blood, and then the river gods.
Okay, thank
Sorry, I'm
you.
speaking on mute.
No, that's okay. Oh my God, this is like so informative, and I like this summary, you know, how it's summarized. Radhapriya, if you could chat, please do share it with us.
You know what kind of got my attention? Kind of like intrigued me is like then came the anus and the organ of excretion with its presiding deity, death, feared by all men. I was just thinking, like, those who are sinful, they say that their soul leaves through the anus, like that. That's the opening, right? There should be some opening through which the soul goes. And then I was thinking, like, this is just matching with the deity of death, correct? For sinful souls. And those who are like pious, they either leave through their mouth or eyes, or the best is the one who leaves through the some randra in the head, right? Some hole in the skull, which actually soft spot when the child is born, and it kind of gets hardened. That's the hole through which they leave. The very elevated yogis.
Exactly. I mean, I was thinking that I've heard that this, this Vivekananda, when he died through the anus, meaning the life air left through that. That, like.
It's not very pious, right? Not very pious, not very auspicious, right?
No, it's not. And also, when they burn the body, there is supposed to be a specific, if the person is saintly, of course, then there is a Brahmarandra, no, on top of the head. And particular knot there. So when, like my grandfather, when he passed away, when they burned the body, you could hear that sound of like phat, like a very strong sound that comes when that happens, like that. So yeah, there are so many indications. They say manchi valluku maraname sakshi. In Telugu, they say that the death of a person indicates that person's piety and character and further what is going to be, etc. Yeah.
Mataji, can you share this chapter?
See, I don't know how to share it.
It's again, so I can take a screenshot because it's really interesting, everything, each and everything.
Yeah, I can show you here. You can take a screenshot because it's a Kindle thing, so I can't copy paste it. So let me go back and then I'll go every page and then you can just take a screenshot. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
From where would you like it? Somewhere here, no? Or
from the starting of the chapter, so I can understand the 26th chapter. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just say okay, and then I'll go next.
Yeah. Next. 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 Next, Mataji.
It's amazing. All this studying, all this makes us so much more mindful of our body, right?
Yeah. Next. 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 I think we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We stopped here. We'll continue tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow. I mean, today evening there is Rukmini Kalyana. I'll be talking about Rukmini's marriage to Krishna and the past tense. If you'd like to join at 6:50 p.m. Okay.
We
Same
have a
link.
couple retreat going on, Mahatma Das couple retreat, 2 days
Oh,
seminar.
yes,
we-
Radha Priya, it's the same link.
Okay. Thank you.
Waiting for your class, Mataji. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
6:30 evening today.
Yes, India time.
Okay. Thank you.
Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Ki jai Gaurav Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
All the devatas that take care of our body ki jai.